Let's bring in Mark Levine, member of the Virginia House of Delegates and a very good friend of the governor. We heard him declare a state of emergency. It was probably less than an hour ago. This is your state. This is where you live. You represent folks in the state of Virginia, especially Charlottesville being a beautiful historic college town. A lot of history there. The protests that we're seeing today initially planned around a historical artifact, a statue there, Robert E. Lee, Confederate soldier. Obviously, we're all familiar. But when our own Doug McKelly was talking to a lot of folks in these protests, that's not what they were protesting. I mean, some of these people were from out of town. Some of these people were saying white lives matter. So what is your take on all this? Because this went from a protest on a statue to a protest of a myriad of issues.
I think this is a small group of very radicalized racist people, neo-Nazis, alt-right, KKK, whatever you want to call them, that are determined to increase violence, determined to increase anger, determined to really disturb our communities. I mean, I remember years ago as a kid when the Nazis wanted to march in Skokie, a suburb of Illinois, of Chicago, where a lot of Holocaust survivors live. This is intentionally trying to rile people up. And so that's why people shouldn't respond with violence. They should respond with counter-protests.
I'm obviously not taking one side or the other, but to play devil's advocate, and certainly I don't have confirmation of people getting bussed in. I have reports of people perhaps being bussed in, people coming in from out of town because they don't know where the Emancipation Park is, the former Lee Park is. So they're asking for directions. They're coming with shields. They're coming with aerosol cans. They're coming with helmets. So there's people who are coming to also incite violence who perhaps aren't members of that group. There's counter-protesters. I would assume you're condemning both.
No violence is ever justified. These are free speech rights. People have a right to express their views, but violence is never justified. And I actually think the violence is counterproductive for those of us who support tolerance and diversity, because I think the white supremacists are trying to promote violence. I think they want violence. I think they thrive on violence. Frankly, if we just ignored their stupid protests, there's just 40 or 50 of them or so, they wouldn't do much damage.
I want to get your take on the position that the governor's in, because, you know, what does he do in a situation like that? We only have about 30 seconds left, but he declared a state of emergency. There was really no way to see how huge this was going to be or how violent it was going to get. Did he handle it correctly? Did he make all the right moves?
I think so. I think it's necessary in times of violence to crack down. It's very important. I want to be clear. You have a right to counter-protest. The counter-protesters we've shown are far larger in number than the white supremacists. I think this is a minority view in Virginia, and it shouldn't be allowed to tar the Commonwealth of Virginia with their views.
Right.